Here are the headlines making the news at this hour. Kogi police kill one after gunmen attack Okene area command. Zamfara attacks, death toll rises to 23 as bandits attack another community. Zoning of elective political office continues to generate interest among Nigerians. And at least 10 killed as cyclone Batsirai sweeps through Madagascar. Hello and welcome to News Update. I am Zainab Bala. Hello and welcome. Now, about 30 gunmen at the late hours of Sunday attacked the Okene area command of the Nigerian police force in Kogi State. The State Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwo, who confirmed the attack, said the police shot dead one of the gunmen while others escaped with injuries during the attack. According to the statements, the local hunters and men of the State Vigilante Service, in collaboration with other security operatives, foiled the attack. Fanwo said no lives were lost. Instead, the criminals were the ones that received gun wounds and lost one of their members on the spot, and called on traditional medical homes and other medical facilities to report anyone with gun wounds to the nearest security formation. Death toll from Zamfara attacks rises to 23 as bandits attack yet another community in the state on Friday night. Several people are displaced as community members say they are still waiting for government intervention. The report.
Another bloody day in northwest Nigeria as bandits killed 23 in the fresh attack in Zamfara of Safi local government area of Zamfara state. Thousands fled their homes and hundreds displaced as they failed to redeem the levies slammed on them by terrorist groups.
We're still confirming people that are missing. They burned our houses, and my house was also affected, with harvested food in the house. We don't know the number of houses affected so far. They taxed us money, we paid for peace, but they still attacked.
The fight against this terrorist group remains weak according to residents, as everyday attack of these communities continue and fears with the heart of many.
I was not able to carry anything from my house when they attacked. We had no option than to flee our homes for safety. Currently, these bandits are in our homes requesting we give them money, and we don't have the money to give to them now.
Many left homeless, thousands still missing, and hundreds still fleeing their homes for safety. From Zamfara State, Aaron Asahel, Trust TV News.
Elsewhere, a mayor of Muri in Taraba State, Abbas Tafida, says he is developing a ranching formula that will end the nomadic practice of cattle rearing that often leads to clashes between herders and farmers. The mayor speaks to Sunday Michael in an interview in Abuja.
With the direction of the central bank now, I believe, of course, it goes in line with the policies of the president, and I believe they will be consulting with the Ministry of Agriculture. And when they come together, we can easily address these issues one by one. You need at least one person to produce a minimum. One person running a simple system can produce about 200, 300, we say 1,000 liters a day. Nigeria needs approximately 1 billion liters a week. All these are coming from imports. Then you take second, the meat market. We have so carelessly run the beef market that the price of the beef has gone out of the reach of most of the people who are supposed to be consuming the beef. As a result, they are hungry and they are unproductive. So if we get the youth to go into the beef production, they will also be the consumers of the beef. Economy, my friend, is a cycle. Once the cycle breaks somewhere, then everything collapses. I remember what Ngige said yesterday, that if we joke with these policies, then we may lead to the ruin and collapse of the nation, and we turn out to be the biggest losers. So, from the statement of Ngige, it's very clear those in the government are aware of what is right, or at least partially aware of what is right. So, as far as I'm concerned, it is just a beginning. I am not a lone campaigner. I have never met somebody yet in Nigeria who said these ideas are wrong. Of course, it's very easy. I mean, some people are mentally lazy, they don't do their homework, and they say, well, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. But definitely there's nothing wrong, because not everybody is a leader. So those of us who are in a position of leadership, we are supposed to sweat, we are supposed to have sleepiness, we are supposed to do our homework, we are supposed to create solutions, we are supposed to make these solutions understandable and applicable to the ordinary person.
Now, Muslim rights concern, MIRIC has called on the Oyo State government to allow usage of hijab by female Muslim students in the state. The executive director of MIRIC, Ishaq Akintola, stated this during an annual lecture organized by a coalition of Muslim women to commemorate this year's World Hijab Day in Abuja. Akintola noted that a failure to do so will be violating the fundamental right of female Muslim students in the state.
Unfortunately, it has gone U-turn. It was quoted yesterday as saying again that hijab will only be allowed in Muslim schools. That is absolute bunkum, because there's no Muslim school, there's no Christian school. The truth of the matter is, all the schools where the government is funding, they are government schools, and that is our stand. It is that statement made by Seyi Makinde is illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional, and illegitimate. We are going to challenge it.
There has been some controversies on this matter in our country, which has unfortunately gone down to the school level and generated needless violence clashes. I wish to take this opportunity to remind all our fellow citizens that there's a lot we can gain by dialoguing on matters of religions and religious differences rather than resorting to violence. I call on all parents and our school teachers to ensure that in both words and action, they present their best model to our children to emulate.
If you see the topic of this year's lecture, the hijab as a metaphor for our national aspiration. Truly, the hijab represents everything that we as Nigerians, as a nation, aspire for.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up. Despite being epileptic, Angela wants to marry. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay.
The idea was to give the interim government confidence that there is somebody, a military man, who is well known, who can be accepted.
You alluded to the case of your son, Umar Farouk. Are you in touch with him?
Yes, he phones us 2 times, sometimes 3 times in a month.
As always, when I'm talking about late Abiola, I still thank my God for directing me on things to do when he gave me that leadership of this country.
Many of you honest Fulanis, you allow this man to cast aspersion on you.
You know, Zamfara is the mother of all bandits.
The biggest problem, if you permit me, is the fact that we have not been able to get the totality of our citizenry.
It's very, very difficult to have a fixed mind like that this one you will hand over to this person because you think you will do better.
I don't see myself under no circumstance ever leaving APC for another political party. Here on the Mambila Plateau. And this is where the hydroelectric power dam is supposed to be constructed.
Most people in Nigeria are ignorant of the fact that employing a child as a maid is in fact against the law.
Access to the textile mill has been very difficult.
I believe, or I think, that if you want to make money, it should be in a place where there are not plenty of people that can do what you do.
From the way things are happening now, I don't think the two parties will make any impact.
I've been talking about the updates concerning the camping of Nigerian Super Eagles in Abuja.
Bola Tinubu has informed President Muhammadu Buhari of his ambition to contest for the position of president.
To be self-reliant, a blind man defies all odds to become a carpenter in Gombe State.
The country is now experiencing a fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic with the emergence of the Omicron variant.
Talks are ongoing between NRC management and the union.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Trust TV News Update. Here are our top stories. About 30 gunmen at the late hours of Sunday attacked the Okene area command of the Nigerian police force in Kogi State. And death toll from Zamfara attacks rises to 23 as bandits attack another community in the state on Friday night. Still ahead, Nigeria Center for Disease Control has reported 36 COVID infections across 4 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The agency, in its update for Sunday, 6th February, said there were no fatalities on Sunday. However, it reported a corrected computational error of confirmed and discharged cases that occurred last week. Nigeria now has a total of over 200,000 confirmed cases, over 200,000 recoveries, and over 3,000 deaths. Similarly, Nigeria Center for Disease Control registers 40 Lassa fever-related deaths in January, with 4 health workers infected with the deadly disease in the latest outbreak of the disease in the country. This is coming as the federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, says it is working towards developing Lassa fever vaccines to combat the outbreak. Trust TV's Aisha Salu reports.
In reaction to the latest situation report by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control on the Lassa fever disease outbreak, the Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, says there has been massive improvement in diagnosis as the federal government works assiduously to develop vaccines against the Lassa fever outbreak.
Lassa fever, as we can see, is now a seasonal disease. It comes in outbreaks, and we're working with the with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control to see how we can have earlier diagnosis and treatment against Lassa fever. Unfortunately, what we find is that it's the health workers that are frequently affected because in the end, patients go to the health facilities to get treated. We've seen people, health workers particularly, die in Benue, in Nasarawa State, and our heart goes out to the families of those health workers. But clearly, we've seen a very massive improvement in terms of diagnosis for Lassa fever. Some years ago, it was difficult. You only had maybe a center that could adequately diagnose Lassa fever, but we've seen an improvement. What the federal government is doing largely now is to see how, just like we did with Ebola virus, how we can actually develop a vaccine against Lassa fever. Once we're able to develop a vaccine, we believe that we'll be taking very strong steps towards being able to contain these outbreaks of Lassa fever year in, year out.
National Lassa Fever Technical Working Group of the NCDC says the disease is preventable, while urging Nigerians to be cautious of the risk factors of the disease.
We have the Lassa fever high transmission season, in as much as cases are reported all through the year. But between November up until May is a season which is classified as a high transmission season. So this season is where over 80% of our cases, when over 80% of our cases are reported. So this is a dry season. So some of the factors that drive this high number of cases during the dry season would include bush burning activities in preparation for the next farming season. So this tends to displace the rodents from their natural habitats to the homes. And also drying of foodstuffs at the roadside. So as you drive around the country now, you see lots of foodstuffs, grains being dried by the roadside. So in the process of this drying, the rodents can contaminate the foodstuffs, and then when it is consumed, the person can become infected. And the other thing is poor harvesting and storage before harvesting and storage facilities. So if the crops are not well stored, the rodents can have access and contaminate them. The other key thing is hunting of rodents. So in the process of hunting and handling this rodent for processing for either foods, there are some cultural practices that include consumption of rodents. So these are all risk factors that could lead to exposing one to the Lassa fever virus and then becoming infected with the disease.
It is, however, advised that health workers maintain a high index of suspicion for any patient presenting with atypical symptoms of the disease. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, for the person with epilepsy, a range of factors can combine to produce a heightened sense of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem and feelings of isolation. While most people with the condition learn how to deal with these feelings, some may respond to such pressures by reacting in an overly aggressive, asocial, irritable or introverted manner. Angela is an epileptic patient who has found a way of dealing with isolation by putting words on paper. She also believes her condition will not stop her from getting a husband.
I'm Angela Ogonna Chukwulobe from Anambra State, North Anambra State, Nigeria. When I'm overstressed or unhappy or no one to feed me or help me, I can be in someone can lose my conscience and the form of one, being epileptic. I'm just a young lady that lost reading and writing. After many years, when I lost my parents, I was just alone. Don't know what pushed me. I started using my Bible to write, and what I'm writing, after writing, I'll just go through what I wrote down, and I'll be happy to read the story. And what is there makes me to be happy. That makes me all the time. I can go out and come in. Whenever I goes out and see something that can push me to write, I can just put a title and then come, when I'm in, I'll just brief it alone, and then suddenly it will come out as a story. And that's that. Since then, I've been writing. Then whenever I write, I can go to some shops or market it and then market it one by one. After writing one, you can still use the money to write another one. That's why I'm able to write out all these books, which are 22 in numbers, and I still have over 25 different titles on printed ones. Through this book also, sometimes I'll go and buy drug. Drug can cost me 2,000 or 3,000. I've gone for operation in my place, and after the operation in my place, that cost me 8,000, which I went out with the help of people that helped me to pay for the operation bill. But still, I still express that kind of sickness, which I don't know what I will do. Sometimes I will be unconscious in terms of when I'm unhappy, when I didn't have anything to eat, or when I overstress myself. That is when I will be expressing certain of sickness. You decide them which I don't know. I've gone to. Whenever I go to any doctor, they still tell me to keep on drinking that drug. That drug needs to pay me for me to buy it, because it always makes my books. I'm able to have money to print out like this. All this, I don't know what to do. Instead, I have printed ones with me around. Still the same. All these things have been a problem to me. And that's that. And because of my condition, I'm a young lady. And I've determined that my condition, even if that things that makes me to stay in my father's house till now, I determined that no matter who and whoever that comes, no matter the kind of human being that comes to me, I must leave my father's house in order for me to have peace, both in my father's house and also to see someone that will make me to be happy.
And now for some politics. Zoning of elective political office continues to generate interest among Nigerians. A cross-section of Nigerians Sunday bear their minds on the desirability or otherwise of the zoning principle or rotational presidency in the nation's current democratic dispensation. Some of the respondents told Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman that an open contest will avail them the opportunity to choose competent leaders not minding their regional affiliations.
Zoning or rotational presidency, as it were, was first brought into Nigeria's political lexicon by the People's Democratic Party. The idea was to carry every section of the country alone, and of course create balance and of course share power effectively in the interest of peace, justice and unity.
Nobody can rule Nigeria, depend from where any kind of expert you start. So now, capacity, that's what I always believe as a woman being. I don't believe zoning from here, zoning that doesn't make any difference.
What the masses need is not the issue of zoning. The common masses out there can't eat 3 square meals a day. What they are looking for is a government who can feed them, who can take care of them, irrespective of where the person comes from, as long as he's doing what is right and doing what is good for the common masses.
Zoning or no zoning doesn't solve or doesn't resolve anything in Nigeria. The only things that I am going to advise Nigeria, we should look into our picture, the kind of situation that we are into now, and know who is capable to be our president, that will listen to people. You cannot be a president without listening to your people.
What is happening in Nigeria this time around, I don't think that you can focus on that zone. The one that can take up Nigeria and make good moves, or that is the person that you can give him mandate.
Okay, go to East now, see the development in East. And go to North and see the development in North, you will see the difference. So let them zone it to East.
Nigerians have spoken, but one thing that remains certain is that the gentleman agreement called zoning is considered at the moment one of the albatross of the 2 major political parties in the country, the PDP and the APC. A strategic decision to be taken with regards to the zoning arrangement will define the chances of the political parties ahead of the much talked about 2023 presidential contest. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The People's Democratic Party chairman in Zamfara State, Bala Mande, says the move by the State House of Assembly to impeach the Deputy Governor Mahadi Gusau is reckless and undemocratic. He said that there is a subsisting court order stopping the lawmakers when they had earlier made the attempts to impeach the Deputy Governor, and no one has vacated that order. The report.
The chairman spoke shortly after the party consultative meeting in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, while reacting to the document which the Deputy Speaker and Chairman, House Committee and Public Account, Honorable Musa Bauer, submitted to the Speaker of the State Assembly, Nasiru Muazu, for the impeachment of the State Deputy Governor last Friday. The state lawmakers accused the Deputy Governor, Mahadi Gusau, of breach of the Constitution, abuse of office and financial fraud. The PDP state chairman, Bala Mande, said the only credible threat the ruling All Progressive Congress APC in the state is facing is the towering personality, acceptance of the Deputy Governor, Mahadi Gusau, by people of the state and beyond, which is why they are jittering. He said the Deputy Governor is still with them in the PDP and has no intention whatsoever to leave the party, and they believe the ruling APC is scared, frustrated by the rising popularity and confidence the Deputy Governor Mahadi Gusau is enjoying from his teeming supporters.
As you can see, concerned citizens of the Zamfara State from all walks of life are beginning to consult with us, and some discussions on how best we can get Zamfara out of the woods which we find ourselves in at the moment. You can see to my right here is Dr. Naala Isamayana, a patriotic citizen of Zamfara State, coming to discuss with us and expressing his concern and worries over the situation. And he is not alone. With other associates of his, we have had some time to discuss how we shall partner to work out the rescue mission for the Zamfara State. There are malicious accusations. You know, the era of politics is about to begin. The only credible threat this government in Zamfara State is facing today is the towering personality of the Deputy Governor, Barrister Mahadi Gusau, who is still in PDP with us,
and he has no intent whatsoever to chicken out of it.
Naala Mayana, who is one of the high-profile politicians in Zamfara state, said he has come to consult with the PDP on how they can wrestle power from the ruling APC so they can take Zamfara state people out of the wood.
The chairman of the Zamfara state PDP has summarized what we have done. That is a consultation meeting. So, very soon, I will see what we have completed, or we are yet to complete. Thank you so much. But our rescue mission is political, and we want to have a genuine government that will protect the citizens.
The PDP pledged to partner with concerned citizens of Zamfara state to work out the rescue mission for the state. And in business, mixed sentiment pervaded the Nigerian stock market last week as investors stepped up positions in dividend-earning stocks amid profit takings on the back of January capital gains in the exchange. Reports say ahead of the 2021 financial results announcements, most investors took speculative positions on mostly blue chips, a sentiment that drove gains to over 2.8 trillion in January, while the favored stocks were still attracting the investors' bullish interest as at last weekend. Meanwhile, profit takers have reared up bear run on many stocks also at the backdrop of the January gains, deflating the 4-week stretch gains recorded on the Nigerian exchange this year. Still ahead, Guinea-Bissau Foreign Affairs Minister Suzy Barbosa has said the coupists attempted to kill President Umaru Embalo. The senior minister said this on Sunday while briefing President Muhammadu Buhari on the coup attempt to oust President Embalo that has been aborted by loyalist forces. She gave a graphic presentation of the attempt to overthrow the constitutional order in her country at a meeting on the sidelines of the African Union Summit of Heads of State and Government holding in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Now, Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema comments on the outcome of the meeting.
On the support that Nigeria and he personally have shown during these difficult days for Ethiopia, and in their efforts to stabilize the country and keep the country as one, and really expressed his gratitude and believes that Mr. President's role and support and encouragement have been absolutely crucial to stabilizing the situation here in Ethiopia. And they looked at the situation around the continent, the coups that are taking place in many different countries, and conflicts in a number of countries, and have this sense that Africa is not.
And that's it on News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Zainab Bella. Thanks for your time and company.